Hi everyone. I did go outside to see if I could see the Ladee, which is the NASA's latest mission, where they've just sent up a rocket to the moon to orbit the moon. And I was unable to see it where I am. I do live in the country and I'm surrounded by trees, so I'm not sure if it was where, I just couldn't see anything. Sky was dark and cloudy, so it was kind of hard, probably for me if I'd have been out in the open air. But anyway, I wanted to let you know that it did lift off, and I'm going to play you this and just let you watch it. Minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. It says the unmanned Ladee probe has successfully lifted off from the Wallops rocket facility on the U.S. East Coast to investigate the atmosphere that surrounds the moon. And I'll go on and read it as soon as this is finished. I just thought you might like to see it because I didn't get to see it either, so I'm sure some of you didn't as well. It's beautiful, isn't it? They had a very successful launch tonight. And I can tell you, when I lived in Florida, one time I went to see back when the space shuttles were still going off, and I went over to the Cape one time and saw one right at sunrise, and it was still, the sun was barely coming up, but it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. The ground literally shook beneath my feet. It was really weird because I had a friend that worked there at the time, and I was able to go as close as anybody could be there. And I was about a mile, I believe he said, from the launch pad. But it was funny because I could plainly see it when it took off, and it was like a delayed reaction, and then just a couple of seconds later, suddenly then you heard the noise, and the ground shook beneath my feet, and I won't ever forget that. What a glorious feeling it was, and an exciting moment in my life. um, I don't remember now what the shuttle launch was as far as which mission or whatever, but it's been too long ago now, but I really enjoyed it. But as you can see, it did make it. It does it. They didn't have any problems, and it did make for a beautiful night launch for sure. And so anyway, I'm going to go ahead and you can come to. I'll leave you the link, and you can come back to it and look at it again if you'd like to. But anyway, it just says scientists are hoping that the probe will help them to understand how the so-called exosphere behaves, which is the most common type of atmosphere in the solar system. LADEE stands for Lunar Atmosphere and Dust Environment Explorer. Let's see what else it says here, if I can get it up. Okay, it says it was its latest mission, of course, and to the moon. The unmanned Ladee probe lifted off from the Wallops rocket facility on the U.S. East Coast on schedule at 23:27 local time or 3:27 GMT on Saturday. Its $280 million mission is to investigate the very tenuous atmosphere that surrounds the lunar body. It will also try to get some insights on the strange behavior of moon dust, which appears on occasions to levitate high above the surface. In addition, Ladee will test a new laser communication system that NASA hopes at some point to put on future planetary missions. Lasers have the capacity to transmit data at rates that dwarf conventional radio connections. Ladee stands for Lunar Atmosphere and Dust Environment Explorer. It was coalitionist environment. Its program scientist Sarah Nova says the mission is likely to surprise a lot of people who have been brought up to believe the moon has no atmosphere. It does. It's just it's really, really thin, she told reporters. Excuse me. It's so thin that the individual molecules are so few and far between that they don't interact with each other. They never collide. It's something we call an exosphere. The Earth has an exosphere as well, but you have to get out past where the International Space Station orbits before you get this condition that we can consider an exosphere. At the moon, it happens right at the surface. And there's, I guess, a picture of them getting things prepared. That's the atmosphere and dust environment explorer right there. That it will operate for a total of about 6 months. Scientists are interested in understanding such wispy truths because they are actually the most common type of atmosphere in the solar system. Mercury has one, as do a lot of the moons of the giant planets. Even some big asteroids are likely to have one too. The dust phenomenon has puzzled researchers for decades. Apollo astronauts reported seeing a diffuse glow above the lunar horizon just before sunrise. The speculation has been that this glow was caused by electrically charged dust particles being lifted from the moon's surface by ultraviolet light from the sun. Ladee's remote sensing and sampling instrumentation will test this idea. What it learns about the dust is also likely to inform engineers who are developing the systems to take humans back to the moon and to other destinations where dust could be an issue, such as on asteroids. This fine particulate material, which comprises remnant rock shattered through eons of meteorite impacts, is considered a major hazard. It is not like terrestrial dust, observed Butler Hine, NASA's Ladee project manager. Terrestrial dust is like talcum powder. On the moon, it's very rough. It's kind of evil. It follows electric field lines and it works its way into equipment. One of the questions about dust on the moon is an engineering question. How do you design things so that they can survive the dust environment? Apollo astronauts found the chapping moon dust would stick to everything, and there are concerns that if such material were to be breathed in, it could lead to respiratory problems. Having been launched by its Minotaur V rocket, Ladee will be sent on a long spiral out to the moon. This will take about a month. A further month will then be needed to commission the spacecraft before its not attitude, is taken down to as low as 20 kilometers above the surface for a 100-day phase of science observations. Ladee will end its mission by crashing into the moon, as well as its 3 science instruments. Ladee carries a demonstration laser telecommunications payload. This system promises a big jump in data transmission rates. Engineers are hoping the test terminal on Ladee will achieve download rates in the region of 600 megabits per second. That's pretty good. A number of receiving stations on Earth will be used, including the European Space Agency's optical ground station on Tenerife. ESA is keen to participate in the Ladee Comms project because it too has ambitions in this area. Today, Europe and the US will often download data from each other's probes, and there will need to be some cooperation if the new technology is to be used the same way in the future. We need some common standards, especially in optics, said Zoran Sodnik, the manager for ESA's Lunar Optical Communication Link project. There are a lot of ground stations that operate in radio frequencies, and ESA and NASA have a long-lasting cross-support agreement. But in optical comms, there are very few ground stations, and if you don't try to agree on some standards, you will not be able to support the other agency's activities, and you would not be able to download the amount of data that would be able to be downloaded otherwise, he told BBC News. John Grunsfield, the head of science at NASA, said he had no doubts that optical communications was the way of the future. It goes on to say that our Mars 2020 mission, we've already been having discussions about whether you could do laser comms on a rover on the surface of Mars. I think there is no question that as we send humans further out into the solar system, certainly to Mars, if we want to have high def 3D video, we're going to have laser comms sending that information back. So anyway, I just wanted to give you an update on our night flight tonight, and that's off of BBC News. And like I said, you can, if you do come here to watch the video, it does have sound, and it will tell you, you know, like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and liftoff or whatever. Unfortunately, the way my laptop is working, it will not pick up the sound on a video when I try to show one. So I'm hoping that's going to be different on my next one that I'm going to be using. Anyway, that's all for now. I'll probably try and get you a couple of sun pictures up before I go to bed tonight. It's 2:34 a.m. on September 7th, 2013. I hope everybody has a great day today and a nice weekend. And I appreciate you so much coming to my channel. And I appreciate your friendship. I've had so many nice people have emailed me on YouTube, and I really appreciate it. I really love people, and I don't have any real friends here in South Carolina. I don't get out much to meet anybody. I wish I could, but it's hard to do that when you don't have the money to get out and do things. But anyway, I love you all, and I do appreciate your messages and your comments, negative or positive. And I hope that you'll continue to watch as I try to bring you the latest and breaking news. Guys, y'all have a good sleep or a good day, whichever. And I'll talk with you later. God bless all of you. I love you. Good night.